So today, we're going to dive into a story about language, identity, and the powerful connections that really bind us all together. It's the story of the Heritage African Language Academy, or HALA, and their mission to reconnect an entire generation. And to really get what they're all about, we have to start with this huge question. What really gets lost when we lose our words? It's so much more than just a way to talk. It's a huge piece of who we are.
And the scale of what's at stake here is just massive. Just within Canada's African diaspora communities, we're talking about over 250 distinct mother tongues. That is an incredible, beautiful tapestry of language.
But here's the thing. In the middle of all that rich diversity, a generation is quietly losing its voice. For thousands and thousands of kids, those vital connections to their heritage, they're starting to fade away.
So let's just look at this challenge head on. This is the story of a generation's fading voice.
This really gets to the heart of the issue. See, it's not just about losing vocabulary. It's about a deep loss of connection. These languages are the threads that tie children to their grandparents, to ancient stories, and to a fundamental sense of who they are.
And that loss, well, it has a very real, very human cost. So what actually happens when this language gap between generations gets wider and wider?
First, and this one's tough, families grow distant. Can you imagine not being able to have a really deep, meaningful conversation with your own grandmother or grandfather? When that basic communication starts to break down, those essential family bonds, they start to weaken.
And it goes even deeper than that. Your very identity can start to feel weaker. Language is the main vehicle for culture, right? Without it, sharing values, family histories, and traditions gets blocked. And for a kid, that can lead to a really diminished sense of belonging.
And finally, on top of all that, the children themselves are missing out. There is just a mountain of research showing the incredible cognitive, social, and emotional benefits that come with being bilingual. When a child loses their heritage language, they also lose out on all those developmental advantages.
Okay, but look, this doesn't have to be a story all about loss. Let's flip the script for a second. Let's talk about the incredible power these words have and how they can actually be a protective force for a child's future.
And listen, this isn't just some feel-good idea. It is backed by solid research. Just take a look at this quote from a recent brief by the Harvard Graduate School of Education. The key takeaway here is that a heritage language isn't just for communication. It's a shield. It builds a stronger identity, it boosts self-esteem, and it can literally help protect children from the real harm of discrimination.
So you end up with these tangible, real advantages that can last a lifetime. We're talking better performance in school, more flexible ways of thinking, stronger emotional skills, and maybe most importantly, that stronger sense of belonging can make a huge difference in how a child engages with school and with their friends.
So if keeping these languages is so important, why is it so hard to do? Well, that brings us right here. The need for a totally new kind of school to address a really critical gap in the market.
So, if you look at what's out there right now, on one side you've got existing options. Public schools might touch on cultural history, but they're not really built for language fluency. And those popular apps, they're mostly designed for adults, and they have very, very little African language content. The gap is just staring us in the face. There's no dedicated, scalable solution built specifically for these kids.
And that is exactly where HALA comes in. This is the Heritage African Language Academy, a pioneering social enterprise built from the ground up to fill that exact gap and solve this very problem.
So how do they do it? Let's take a look at HALA's unique and this is really important, sustainable model. So first, it's really crucial to get that HALA is a social enterprise. What that means is it's a business, not a charity. It's designed to be self-sustaining by selling its services directly to families and institutions. This market-driven approach is what ensures it can be around for the long haul.
So how do they make that model work? Well, their secret sauce, their key operational advantage, is an amazing network of volunteer educators. By tapping into the expertise that's already inside the diaspora communities, they can dramatically reduce their biggest cost. And that keeps tuition affordable and allows them to scale. It's a brilliant, community-powered solution.
And just look at what they offer. The curriculum is specifically designed for kids from ages 3 to 17, not for adults. They offer an unmatched breadth of over 20 languages. We're talking Yoruba, Swahili, Amharic. It's a flexible, hybrid model, so you've got online classes and community events. And maybe the most important part? The curriculum is vetted by community elders, which guarantees it's truly authentic. It's pretty clear who this is for.
Their main customers are immigrant families, but they also have a second market working with schools and community centers. Revenue comes from tuition fees and contracts, which creates a really clear and robust plan for the future.
Okay, so as we start to wrap this up, let's zoom out. Because what Hala is doing is about so much more than just a language class. It's about the true value of reconnecting with your heritage.
You could think of what they're doing as this Hala value engine. It connects families by bridging those generational gaps. It builds a stronger identity through cultural connection. It develops young minds through the power of bilingualism. And it provides real convenience for busy, modern families.
At the end of the day, Hala is creating a pathway for children to find themselves, for families to reconnect, and for entire communities to not just get by, but to truly, truly thrive. And that leaves us all with one final really powerful question to think about. If it's true that our languages build the worlds we live in, then what kind of world are we building for our children?